A very good morning to one and all present here. On behalf of the ManageEngine team, I welcome you to today's free OpManager training series. The agenda for the day is as follows: alarm and severities, where we have to keep an eye on the alarm page to see the entire network status of the informations which we are monitoring on the respective devices. The alarm page and its severity of the respective devices and the matrices is going to give us a clear picture of what is happening in our environment based on the infrastructure which we are monitoring. And followed by, we'll be seeing in detail about the SNMP trap-based monitoring and Syslog-based monitoring and the capability which OpManager provides you. And then we'll see in detail about the notifications. So the notification is going to be a major task for any infrastructure or organization. If something goes wrong, we have to be notified. So in OpManager, we have a wide range of notification options starting from email to webhook based integrations as well. So we'll see the various integration options for the notification in the upcoming slides in detail. And then we'll see about the network maps, a live graphical representation of the IT resources and the IT network, which gives us a better visibility of your organization or infrastructure. And then finally, we'll see the reporting capability of the Op Manager on an overall basis. And by using this, you can just sit back and forget about the burdens of going through lots of data sheets and finding the exact statistics. You can just go to the Op Manager, choose the matrices, give a timeline and schedule it, and the product is going to take those reports and send it to you in an easier manner. So now let's start with the first topic, which is called as alarm severity or alarms. So as soon as we add our devices with the respective matrices and we put the thresholds, the next important thing which we see within the Op Manager is the alarms and various different severities. What are these severities and how are they going to help us and what do they denote? So the lowermost severity which the Op Manager is going to give you is called as attention, which is denoted by the color yellow. So this is the lowermost severity of any metrics which you're monitoring. And the second severity is trouble, which is denoted by the color orange. And critical, which is denoted by the color red. By the wording and the color itself, we could understand that this is the highest severity of a metrics which we are going to monitor in our infrastructure across various different devices. And then we also have another severity called as service down, which is going to denote for Windows services, URLs, those kinds of service down based alerts are going to be denoted by the severity called as service down, denoted by the color purple. And finally, the green color, which denotes everything is normal and clear. So these are the various different severities and color codings which we use in Op Manager for the alarms which has been raised. And these color codings are predefined, but if you want, you can change the severity levels with respect to the threshold which you're configuring with the Op Manager based on the desired requirements of your organization on the infrastructure which you're monitoring. So now, how these alarm severities are going to be raised? What are the basis for them? The alarm severities or the alarms are raised based on the threshold which you configure for the devices and the matrices which you are monitoring. And these thresholds can be set for the performance matrices on bulk using the device template. Or you can also push these matrices on bulk using the monitor and push it to the respective devices in a bulk fashion also. And likewise, we have a dedicated report which is going to show you the various thresholds which we have configured across different devices for various monitors. So now let me quickly take you to the Op Manager to help us understand what are the alarms which are going to come in and what are the various ways of the threshold configuration. When we talk about the thresholds, which is going to be the basis for any alarm which is getting raised within the Op Manager. So as we have seen in the presentation slide, we can push these thresholds on bulk using the device template itself. So once you come to the configuration page, you know how many devices are there in each device type. For example, if I'm going to take this Windows 2008 device, I know that I have 8 devices in them, and these are the predefined monitors which are there. And in case if I want to configure thresholds for multiple monitors as a single touch, it's pretty easy. All I have to do is I have to select the edit threshold icon, configure the threshold, save it, and once you have saved it, all you have to do is you have to click on save and associate, and then push it to the desired devices on bulk. You can either associate them or override these configurations on the respective devices. So this is how you can push the thresholds on bulk using the device template. And the second option which is available is based on the monitors, where you can choose the monitor, configure the threshold, and then use the associate option to push these monitors to the respective devices on bulk as well. And these are the various different ways of configuring the thresholds on bulk for the respective monitors or the performance metrics which you are monitoring. Likewise, the next thing which comes to your mind is, I have the devices, I have the monitors in place, I have configured the thresholds. Now the alarms are going to get raised based on the thresholds which you have configured. So as you can see, the OpManager gives you a wide option for the entire alarms which are getting raised within the OpManager, with various filters starting from the active alarms which are currently active in your infrastructure for the devices which you're monitoring. You can change the color codings or the way on how these alarms are being displayed, or you can use various different filters to see them based on severity or category. And likewise, you can also choose a different timeline. Either you want to see it for last 1 hour, or you can see it for the past 1 hour as well, or you can see it for all time. Either irrespective of the time, just show me the alarm alone. And if you click on the critical, it's just going to filter the critical alarms and show you the critical alarms alone in a filtered fashion. Likewise, you have the all alarm tab, which gives you all the alarms which was raised and which was cleared in the recent time. And likewise, you have different tabs for various different metrics, starting from the event log based alarms, syslog based alarm, trap based alarms, or the respective add-on based alarms which got raised, and the entire event tab which is going to show you the overall picture of all the events which has happened within the op manager, which is going to store the recent 10,000 events. And you can even change this configuration in the database settings based on your exact requirement. So these are the various options in which you can configure the thresholds in the op manager, which in turn is going to raise the alarms for the respective metrics which you are monitoring within the op manager. So now let's go back to the presentation and continue. Now, the next topic which we are going to see is about alarm escalation. What is an alarm escalation and why these things are needed? Let's say I have a critical router which is going to be an uplink to my entire network, to the internet or to the secondary network which I'm connected. So in those cases, if this uplink router or my main interface goes down, and if it's not rectified within the next 30 minutes, it is going to cause a big business based impact on my organization. So in those cases, I can configure an alarm escalation. So the alarm escalation is going to help you attend or keep a check on these critical metrics and send another email or a notification to a higher authority so that they can take the necessary actions to avoid any business critical downtimes in your environment. So you can escalate any alarms to the next level if it's not attended within a specific timeline. You can send these notifications as an email or an SMS to your manager or your lead based on the respective higher organization or the hierarchy in your environment. You can do that. And likewise, you have the options to customize the time period in which the alarm escalation has to be triggered and what is the time interval in which the product has to check if the alarm is cleared or not. And you can run these checks regularly and trigger the notifications accordingly. So now Let me take you to the product and show you an example on how these alarm escalations can be configured using OpManager. So to configure the alarm escalations, all you have to do is you have to go to settings, configuration. Under configuration, you have the alarm escalation rule. So under alarm escalation rule, you can either create them or use the default for switch or a server rule, or else I want to create my own rule. You can very well do it. All you have to do is put a name for it. The severity, I'm going to take it as critical category, and this has to be for my firewall or for my routers. I'm going to create it for my domain controller, and then if it's not cleared within the next 15 minutes, if any critical alarm from my domain controllers, if it's not cleared within the next 15 minutes, I need an alarm to be sent to my manager, who's James, who's my network admin. So this is how you can easily send the email to the respective higher authority, so that James, as my network admin, the senior network admin, knows that this is a critical device and they have to take it forward and bring the device up as soon as possible and fix the issue, so that it will not cause any major business impacts on them. And likewise, if you want, you can also send an SMS based notification to the respective higher authority or your leads based on your requirements. So this is how you can use the alarm escalation on various different ways to keep in check of critical devices and critical metrics which you're monitoring, and make sure that none of these critical metrics are left unattended. So now let's go back to the presentation and continue. The next topic which we are going to see is about SNMP traps. So as being a network administrator, I want to monitor a trap-based monitoring solution which monitors the traps for network devices. Apart from the default SNMP performance monitors, I have a custom requirement where I want to monitor these devices, these network devices, or any device in my environment based on traps. So OpManager gives you a much easier way to monitor a trap-based monitoring solution. So all you have to do is you have to forward these SNMP traps to the OpManager server, and then you should add these devices to the OpManager with the working SNMP credentials. And once you do that, we can monitor the SNMP traps and raise alarms accordingly. So now let's see in detail on how the trap-based monitoring works in OpManager and what are the various different features which are available. So when we talk about traps, the traps are going to come in with the OIDs or numbers which are not going to be human understandable. So to convert this non-human understandable messages to a human understandable message and a valuable alarm which we can understand or anyone can understand, the trap processors are going to do that job. So all you have to do is you have to go to rules, phraser, and alarms and create your own trap processors. And in case if you have the respective MIPs from the vendor, all you have to do is get the MIP, upload it in the OpManager, and create the trap processors on bulk, which makes your job much easier. And likewise, you have a powerful match criteria. Instead of raising alarms for each and every trap which is coming in, you can raise an alarm only if a specific web bind or a specific text is found within that particular trap of the incoming traps from the respective devices. And likewise, you can have in the OpManager a trap viewer which shows all the incoming traps for which the trap processors are not created, which makes easier for us create the traps and get them working. And also you have the trap settings which gives you a wide range of options for SNMP trap based monitoring from the OpManager itself. So now let me take you to the product and show you the various different options which are available in terms of SNMP trap based monitoring. So the first thing what we have to understand is how the trap processing works and how the trap processor settings is going to help us. So these trap processors within the OpManager are predefined, which are there for the default trap processors, which will be used widely by many customers. And in case if you want to create your own trap processor, it's pretty simple. So all you have to do is you have to click on actions, click on add, create your own SNMP trap processor based on the version of SNMP which you use. You can choose a match condition based on the webbind on which you want the alarm. Let's say in the second webbind, if I get a value which is going to be stating as error, I need an alarm from that trap instead of every time the trap comes in. And I can also configure a rearm criteria for the trap as well. Let's say in the fourth webbind, if I get a value that is called as clear or normal, let's say in this trap it's going to come in as normal, automatically the product is going to raise an alarm and then clear it pretty easily. And also you can choose multiple conditions for the rearm and the alarm raised criticality pretty easily. And the same options are available for SNMP V1 and V3, and you can create custom trap processors pretty easily. And now let's say, what is this SNMP trap settings? So SNMP trap setting helps you understand to which devices you want to monitor the trap instead of monitoring from every device that is forwarding them. You have the options to customize it. You can set a limit there. You can also have the option to customize the port in which the SNMP's traps are being listened. And likewise, you are forwarding certain traps to the OpManager and you want to know, or if there is a trap processor there, why the alarms are not coming. In that place, the SNMP trap viewer or listener is going to help you. So here, I'm going to start listening to this particular trap processor and I'm going to forward a specific trap to this server. So as you can see from this particular device, I'm getting a link down trap for which there are no trap processors created. So in those cases, it makes my life easier if I want to send a trap or receive it pretty easily. So now I'm going to click on create new trap processor. I'm going to know the respective OID which is already selected, the severity. If I want, I could customize it. I could put a match criteria. I can have a ream value, save it. Once I do that, automatically for the incoming trap which has no trap processor, I can create a custom trap processor which makes life pretty easier. So this is how you can use the SNMP based trap processing within the OpManager, which makes things easier. And likewise, if you want to have a custom filter for the incoming traps, yes, you can do it. You can filter them based on devices or the SNMP version or the credentials and use them for your advantage to have a better SNMP trap processing capability for the devices to which you have associated the SNMP trap processing. And now let's go back to the presentation and continue. The next topic which we are going to see is about syslog based monitoring. In OpManager, we listen to the syslogs in the port 514 or 519, and if you want to have a custom syslog based port, yes, you can customize it in the OpManager as well. And you have the option to customize the severities on which the incoming alarms are coming in, and you have an advanced rule option which gives you an upper hand of configuring the syslog rules for which the alarm is getting raised, and you can create different syslog rules based on the faculty or the severity or etc. based on your exact requirement. So now let me take you to the OpManager and show you how the syslog based monitoring works. So when we talk about syslog based monitoring, it's similar to the trap based monitoring. The only difference is in trap processing, we monitor the traps and raise the alarms based on the incoming traps. Over here, it's pretty simple and straightforward. It's based on the syslogs which we receive. So all you have to do is you have to forward the syslogs from your respective devices to the OpManager. And once you do that, the product will listen to them, and based on the rules which you have created, the OpManager will raise the alarms accordingly. If you want to create the syslog rule, all you have to do is give a name for the rule, the faculty name, choose the severity in which the alarm has to get raised. If you have a specific match condition, let's say login failure, you can put that in, put a alert severity, take a message, choose a rearm condition as well and save it, which makes things pretty easy. And as we have in the SNMP trap processing, we can change the port on which the syslogs are being listened, or how many syslogs are coming into the OpManager. You can see the flow rate as well. And likewise, if you want to forward the syslogs to your own syslog server where the syslogs are stored, yes, you can do that using OpManager. It's pretty simple. All you have to do is you have to give a destination host and the port in which you have to forward. And once you do that, the received syslogs will be automatically forwarded to your syslog server or the destination server pretty easily. The one thing which you have to remember with the OpManager and the syslog based monitoring is that OpManager will not store your syslogs within the product in any place. So that is one of the limitations with the OpManager in terms of syslog based monitoring. So this is what you have to remember. You can receive the syslogs, raise alarms for them, and then the received syslog will be immediately dropped and we will not be storing them. So this is the only thing which you have to keep in mind with respect to the syslog based monitoring. Apart from that, you have all the other options in customizing the syslogs which are coming in, the alarm severity on which you have to raise them, the n number of syslogs which are coming in. You can also forward it to your destination servers and make things easy. So now let's go back to the presentation and continue. And the next topic which we are going to see is about notification. One of the biggest things which comes into play, where we have the devices being monitored, the respective performance or the metrics which we want to monitor, we have thresholds, we have the alarms which are being raised. So everything is in place within the op manager. So the next important topic or the next important criteria which we need, or any of our customers who need, is the notifications. So op manager provides you a wide range of notification options, starting from email or email based SMS, or normal SMS is a chat based notification, or you can invoke a ticket or a email based on webhook integration. You can send trap based profiles, web alarms, log a ticket. You can integrate it to any of your ticketing tool which are available in your environment. And the product also gives you default integration options for the notifications as well. So here the notification feature allows you to convert the alarms to a specific notification like email, SMS, or a ticket with customized message and description. And you can pick the criteria pretty easily, and you can customize it as well instead of receiving a notification for each and every alarm which is raised within the op manager. And before we could continue, if you have any questions with the topics which we are discussing, please do raise it in the chat channel so that our team of panelists can answer them. So now let's take few examples of the notifications which are available, which will help us understand more about the various features which are available in terms of notification and the criteria and the other options which are available. So now we are going to take email based notification as an example. The first step is that you have to configure your mail server settings. So you have to give us the information about your mail server, the name of the server, the port number, the timeout interval. If it needs a username and password, you have to provide that. It can be either SSL enabled or TLS enabled or none. Based on those informations, you have to configure the mail server. That's going to be the first step. The second step is you have to create your email notification profile, where you have to select the criterias and the devices for which the notification has to work. And then you can customize these messages and description pretty easily. So now, and you can also customize this notification to work 24/7 or on a specific time period or days which are non-business hours as well. So now let's go back to the op manager itself and let's discuss the various different options which are available in terms of notification. So as we have seen in the presentation slide, I'm going to take the email based notification as an example, and then the second tab, the criteria tab, is where you have to keep in mind and select your options pretty precisely. So the first option, the default option which multiple customers are going to use, are going to be device down, threshold violation for the monitors, service down, or clear notification. So these are the general criteria which we select on general terms. But you have wide different options within the op manager for the criteria based on each and every metric which you're monitoring, starting from device down. So in case if a device goes down, I don't want to get an immediate alarm for the attention which is the lowermost. I want the alarm or the notification only for the trouble or critical. And likewise, if something goes wrong in the Windows services which I'm monitoring, I need an alarm. And likewise, I don't need a notification for each and every Windows service which I'm monitoring. I only want it for specific services. Yes, I can do that as well. And I could select this threshold rule violation as a general criteria which applies for all the performance monitors which are there within the product. And likewise, you have various different options based on process monitor, file, folders, events, syslogs, exchange, active directory monitors. Each and every metrics which you monitor, you have the respective criteria here through which you can select them and then associate it to the respective devices. Let's say I want to group them or associate them based on a particular device type. Let's say I want to associate this to only to my servers. Yes, you can do that. You can choose the filter, push it to the selected box, and then click on next. And this is the page where you can schedule them. You can either apply them to be working 24/7, or you can make it to work only in your weekdays, let's say Monday to Friday, or in a specific timeline as well. And then you have a delay trigger and a recurring trigger, which gives you an upper hand in the way in which you want the notification. You can create them to have get generated immediately without a delay, or if you need a delay of few minutes, yes, you can do that. Recurring trigger is going to send you repeated emails unless that particular alarm is cleared within the op manager. And likewise, on the final tab, you will see the overall summary of the entire email notification, the criteria which you have selected. You can give a name and save it. So once you save it, the notification profile is in place, and if the status is enabled, the notification profile will work and will automatically take over the alarms which are coming in. It will monitor them, and if it matches the criteria for the respective devices, it is immediately going to raise a notification via any type of notification which you have configured. So now let's go back to the presentation and continue. The next topic which we are going to see is about webhook integrations. So the webhook based integration is a brand new feature which we have brought in the op manager, and this is supported from the version 12.5.192 and above. Here op manager gives you a quick and an easy configuration of integrating the webhooks. You can get a real-time information. You can use webhook URLs to send alerts to other applications as well. For example, Microsoft Teams, Telegram, or Tiglo, or any configure any platform or application that supports webhook. You can integrate that with the op manager and make your life pretty easy. So here, when we go to the op manager itself, under the notification, you have a separate tab for the webhook based integrations, which is going to give you an upper hand of creating webhook based notification. Let's say, let it be for any type, whichever application supports the webhook protocol, you can use them. Let's say, does op manager gives you a simple help guide on how to do certain stuff? Yes, the product has its own help guide on how these webhook integrations work with the ManageEngine op manager. We have a detailed monitoring documentation for that. For example, if it's going to be Microsoft Teams, you have a detailed documentation for them, how to configure them, and how it can be used from the op manager. If it's going to be Telegram, yes, you do have a separate complete documentation on how these things can be configured. And if it's going to be for PagerDuty, yes, you have options to send and integrate with them pretty easily. And you have multiple other options on integrating, and these are default ones with multiple customers use. But in case if you have an application which has its own webhook protocol and its application support, yes, you can use the same in the op manager and get your notifications using that webhook protocol in your own application much easier, instead of getting a customized mail server or getting a supported webhook platform or a respective ticketing tool. You can use anything which is there in your platform which supports webhook. That makes life easier for network administrators and organizations where they don't want to spend more on things which is already there in their environment. And op manager gives you all those options to make your life pretty easy. And the next topic which we are going to see is about workflow. So what is this workflow with op manager and how this is going to help me? So in day-to-day life, you'll be doing certain stuff manually or weekly, like Windows update or security checking or Windows patch updates, or you'll be running specific tasks in your servers in a downtime in your weekends. So all those manual works can be automated using workflow. So for this, you need coding knowledge? No, you don't need them. So it's pretty simple. You have to just drag and drop the task, put them in, and execute the workflow, and that is going to do, and it's going to automate your work and make things easier. And if you want to execute a script within that workflow, yes, you have that option as well. So now let's see in detail about the workflow feature within op manager. Here, Op Manager helps you with IT automatizations which are code free. You can just drag and drop the actions and perform the respective task. You can initiate the workflow when a fault occurs, or you can have them scheduled for a specific time interval. It can check and perform an action based on the selected results as well. And you can view the executed logs which are available for future references to see where things went wrong and how things are working as well. So now let me give you a live example and understand how this can be achieved. Let's say I have a maintenance window and I want to do a Windows patching on my servers in a specific time period. So in that, how to create a workflow. So this is an example. So the first thing what you have to do is you have to create a workflow where the first thing which you have to put in is called as maintenance. So you have to drag and drop that maintenance to that screen. And then that device in OpManager will go into a maintenance or a downtime schedule. And next, it's going to add an alarm node that we are going to execute a downtime event for that particular alarm. And then we are going to execute a script which is going to do the basic Windows patching. And then once the Windows patching is done, we are going to reboot the server. And finally, once the device comes back online, we are going to exit that device from the maintenance within the OpManager to a normal state, and then send an SMS that this particular automation has been successful. So now let me take you to the Op Manager and show you how this is done on much easier statements. So for example, when we talk about the workflows which we are creating, if you want to customize it, it's pretty simple. So as you could see on your left hand side, you have multiple different options which are going to give you various different timelines. Let's say if you don't want to send the exit maintenance immediately, you want to put a delay there. So in those cases, all you have to do is you have to drag and drop this time delay there. Once there is a reboot done, let's say I need a time delay, yeah, let it be 5 minutes. I'm putting a time delay there, and once that 5 minutes time delay is completed, I'm going to exit the maintenance. I'm going to take the exit maintenance there and I'm going to put it there. And once I've configured that, I can just drag and drop and customize it as well. And once the maintenance is completed, I could exit the op manager alarm or send an SMS. So under external actions, I could either send an SMS or create an email as well. So here I'm going to just send an email once the entire overall message is completed. Let's say if I want to send an email, yeah, I could do it. It's pretty simple and straightforward. So this is how you can just drag and drop the options and create your own workflow to automate the processes. Like I said, you can associate them and trigger them based on the alarms which are coming in, or you can trigger them based on schedule. Let's say run this every month on the Sundays at this particular time. Yes, you can do it. You can give a name for it and save it. So this is how you can create a workflow and automate it, so that all these simple tasks in your environment will be completely automated, and the op manager itself will complete it and perform the task. So now let's go back to the presentation and continue. The next topic which we are going to see is about reports. OpManager gives you an out-of-box performance report with various options such as forecast report, health report, audit report. You can even create custom reports for the information which you're monitoring, and also you can schedule these reports and send them as an email with a PDF attachment, or an XLS to your respective emails or addresses. You can also print these reports immediately from the GUI itself. And also in the reporting capability of the Op Manager, you have something pretty interesting which is called as advanced reports. So using advanced report, you can match and mix the metrics which are there in your metrics which you're monitoring, and take a custom report to meet your exact requirement instead of using the default ones which comes with the product. You can create your own custom report using the advanced report feature, and you can select your criteria, group them for an explicit output, and you can also get a generalized property or a performance metric for the devices, interfaces, or URLs, or service monitors, or any metrics which you're monitoring. And now we are going to go to the Op Manager before we jump on to the Data Collection Manager. So here, when we talk about the reporting feature, which is an important thing for any environment which we monitor the devices and the metrics, is the reporting capability comes and plays a major role. So in Op Manager, you have a wide range of default reports which are predefined within Op Manager, starting from system-based event, health and performance, availability. You can simply select the default reports and use them, or you can customize these reports as well. So based on the individual reports and the criteria which you want, you can either use the default reports which are available, or you can create your own custom reports and use them accordingly. For example, if it's going to be all server disk usage report, and you can see the information there, or if it's going to be server based transaction data, you can do that as well. And let's say if it's going to be forecast report, you can see the CPU memory or disk forecast usage, and this data is based on the last 14 days data collection of that particular device and the metrics which we are monitoring. And you can have a custom filter for that. You can export them immediately as a PDF or an XLS, or you can even schedule them, make a copy, or send this as an email report immediately. And the most interesting feature which we have seen in the presentation is about the advanced report. So the advanced report is a complete customization of the metrics which you want to see, the devices, in which order you want to see them. So these are the basic differences which are available. Let's say first thing what I'm going to select is the device name. So that has to be my first column. Then I'm going to choose my disk in GB, the DNS name, and if I want to change the order, I can very well do it. And in case the total number of interfaces which I'm monitoring, yes, I can do that. IP address, I need the IP address along with my DNS name, and then the availability monitoring. What's the overall availability for the selected time period as a second column, and then comes the performance monitors. Based on protocols, you can choose them. CPU utilization, memory utilization, and based on different metrics which we are going to take, you can choose various different criteria. So once you have them, you can click on, you can group them for all devices. You can apply a criteria, whether if it has to be based on a specific device or a specific device type, you can do that. Or if you want to group them based on a specific type, let's say if you want to group them based on device type, yes, you can do that. You can apply a time period. If you want to see the data for the last 30 days, yeah, you can do that. Or you can do it for specific business hours, yes, you can do that. And once you do perform that, before performing a save, you can preview the data which you are seeing in the report, which makes things easier for you. And this helps you create custom reports, and then once these advanced reports are created, you can easily schedule them, send it as an email as well. What's the easy way of scheduling? The scheduling is much easier than creating reports or viewing them. So all you have to do is click on the scheduled report, choose the reports which has to be scheduled, choose a time period, put an email address, and then immediately it will be sent pretty easily. And also OpManager has a default repository where this emails which has been sent out will be stored within the OpManager with the date and time, so which you can use as a reference for your future benefits as well. And likewise, if you want to have your own custom business hours, yes, you can do that. All you have to do is you have to click on add new rule and choose the time period, your own business hours, because different organizations, let's say if it's going to be an educational institution, it's going to be from 9 to 5 or 9 to 6. And if it's going to be a working network environment, it's going to be 10 to 5, or different based on the country or the region which we are monitoring on various different requirements. So these are the various different options which are available in terms of reports and advanced reports in the OpManager itself. So now let's go back to the presentation and see about the data collection manager. So what is this data collection manager? So this is a watchdog for the data collection which is happening within the OpManager, and this helps us achieve a better scalability and have a pretty good data collection for all our devices in our environment. This helps us increase the data collection for the performance and reduce the load for the overall polling engines. And you can continuously track the failed monitors and interfaces and credentials. Let's take an example here. You are monitoring a Windows server with a WMI credential, a Windows credential, and you have changed the password. And out of the blue, you've forgotten to update the password within the OpManager. So the data collection manager is going to monitor that. And in case when we try to poll or get the information from the device, and if the credential is failing, you're immediately going to see an alarm that the credential for this device is failing, because of which none of the monitors are able to click. So once you see that alarm, you can immediately come to the product and you can update the password, and you're pretty good to go. And let's take another example. You have associated 5 monitors to the device, and one specific monitor is not collecting an information, let's say memory utilization. And when you come in, the data collection manager is going to tell you that the memory utilization for this device is not working. It's sending us a partial response, or there is no response from the device itself. So when you see that message, you can come to the product, see what OID or metrics or the query you just used. You can go to the device itself and see what's the problem and fix it, so that you will not lose any data which has to be collected for the critical metrics for the devices which you are monitoring. So the OpManager helps you monitor your infrastructure, and it will also notify you if something goes wrong with the metrics which we are monitoring, and a basic information on why that is happening. And here we have a mechanism which helps you move these monitors to different states. For example, when a device and the monitoring is happening as it should in regular polling intervals, it will be in the normal state where we'll not touch them. And in case if that device or the metrics is failing for the next 6 hours, So that is when the product will immediately move that monitor or metrics to a suspended state where the polling or the polling interval of that metrics will be delayed, for example, once in 5 hours. And in case if the device responds, it will immediately go back to a normal state. In the worst case, it's not even responding when we check it for every 5 hours as well. So in that case, it moves to a disabled state where we will not poll that particular device and we'll see if it's coming in or not. So these are the various different states which are available under the data collection manager. So you can wonder, where is this data collection manager within the UI? It's pretty simple to identify. You can see and support icon on the top right hand side within the op manager, and under that you have this diagnostics. So this diagnostic is the place where the data collection, the failed monitors, the failed interfaces, failed credentials are available, in which you can customize them and move them to accordingly. I don't want the suspended polls to happen once in 6 hours. You can change it, or you can send emails based on the failed or failed monitors, failed credentials, or failed interfaces. You can send it to a specific email address, and this will be sent every day early morning pretty easy. So this is how the data collection manager helps you understand the data collections which are happening within the op manager. And in case if something's going on, if it's the device is not responding, the product will notify you so that you will not lose any metrics which goes out of the blue. And when you come in for the annual or the mid audits, and if you don't have the data, that's going to create a bigger problem. So the op manager helps you address that when the issue is happening, so that it will be easier for you to rectify it and take it forward accordingly. So now let's go back to the presentation and continue. The next topic which we are going to see is about maps. So here op manager gives you a visualized diagram of your network in a geographical format. You can identify the location and the devices where an outage happens pretty easily when you see the UI. And you have both Google Maps and Zoho Maps which are available. So now let me take you to the product directly, and let's have a quick view on the maps which we are talking about. So when we talk about the Zoho or Google Maps, it's pretty simple and straightforward. If you want to use the default free Zoho Maps, yes, you can do that, where you don't have any payments or any information which are required. It's already there. All you have to do is just drag and drop the device, choose the device which you want to monitor, and add them there. That's it. Makes things much easier. And if it's going to be a Google map with more accuracy, all you have to do is you have to get the API key from your Google account and place it here, so that you can use that API key to see a Google map directly and view the information. And likewise, you can see and have filters for specific actions, and you can also import devices on bulk using a CSV file, or you can export them as an XLS, or you can view them in an KM as well. So now let's go back to the presentation and continue. The next map feature which we have is called as business view. So the business view helps us create logical views for your network and view their performance in a much easier fashion. You can drill down to the snapshot of the device or interface to view its detail by clicking on a single icon on the business view itself. And this helps us identify the performance of the devices, and the link color helps us see what's the traffic which is going through or what's the status of the link between them. So when we talk about business views, what are the various different features or options which are there in terms of the business view? So once you configure a business view, it is going to help you have a pictorial representation of your infrastructure diagram. Creating the diagram is pretty easy. You just have to drag and drop the device and create the links between the respective devices and choose the interface which you want to choose between these two devices. That as simple as that. You can have your own custom background, you can choose the size in which you have to have them, and you can have all the different customizations which you want within the graphical view. So once you have the business view in place, what are the advantages of them? You will have a pictorial representation of your network. You can use this business view as a grouping and as a filter in your user management, your reporting structure, your pushing thresholds or configuration or pushing monitors. You can have this business view as a custom group to push n number of configurations or thresholds, or you can even set user-based accesses, and various different options are available once you configure the business view. There are a wide range of features and advantages once you have the business view in place. So now let's go back to the presentation and continue. The next topic which we are going to see is about rack and 3D flow view. So the rack and 3D flow view, by the name itself, we can understand that these are other pictorial representation of our racks and 3D flows which we have. Let's say I have my own racks in my environment. I want to have a custom diagram for them. It's pretty simple. So you have to just drag and drop the devices to the respective rack location and have them. You can either have front view or both front and back views and save them. And once you have all your racks in place, you'll have a pictorial representation and the status of these devices in your environment as well. And in case if you have your own rack and if you want to see your own floor, yes, you can pretty much see it. All you have to do is just drag and drop the racks which you have created in the respective locations, and then create your own walls and pathways which you have in the respective order how you have it in your environment. And once you have them in place, you can see them pictorially, and which makes things pretty easy for you. So as you can see, I know that these are the racks which are there, and certain racks in a specific order are in a critical state. The color coding helps me understand. So these are the various different options which are available in terms of 3D flow view, rack view, and the business views which are available. And likewise, as we have seen in our previous presentations in part 1 and part 2, we have the layer 2 map which gives a wide range of automated network diagram for your environment. And likewise, if you've added your virtual machine to it, the OpManager draws your virtual diagram and your virtual infrastructure in a detailed fashion, and you can see the diagrams pretty easy and its connections much detailed fashion as well. So now let's go back to the presentation and continue. The next topic, dashboards and knock views. Once we have everything configured, we have the notifications coming in, we have the alarms. The next important thing for us is to have a pictorial view, a dashboard or a knock view. So the dashboard is going to give you a collective information of all your metrics which you're monitoring in selected windows, which is called as widgets, in a collective manner. Let's say I want to create my own custom widget or a dashboard. It's pretty simple. You have to click on create new dashboard. You have to give a name for it. Let's say this is going to be for my branch one. I'm going to select it as next, and then I have the wide range of default widgets I have within the OpManager. I can choose the ones which I have, which I want to view. I can view them, I can select them on multiple options, and then I have to click on next. I have to choose whether this dashboard should be visible for everyone, every administrator, or it should be visible for specific users. Yes, I have those customization options as well within the OpManager, and using this I can control who is going to see this dashboard and who has the access to the respective dashboard accordingly. So this is how you can create a custom dashboard within OpManager. And once you create the dashboard, if you have your own knock screen in your environment, you can easily create your knock screen, a particular URL for the knock screen and the information. To create them or view them, it's pretty simple. You have to give a name for it, select the dashboards which you want to see, and once you select them, you have to save it. So this is how you can create the knock view. And once you have the knock view in place, if you click on this particular hyperlink, which is going to give you an URL, which makes it easier for you to just paste in your knock screen and leave it there. And this URL doesn't need any login credentials because it's just a read-only permission, and the knock screen is going to automatically refresh every 30 seconds or every 15 seconds based on the configuration which you give. So this makes things easier. You can have your own customized visualized diagram of your network, and then you can also have the knock screen customized, and you can view them pretty easily and in a straightforward manner. So this is how OpManager is going to help you make the dashboard and knock views and view it to monitor your entire infrastructure and what is going on, which gives us a better idea. If I see the knock view or my dashboard, I know that the percentage of my devices are pretty good. Or in case if this is going to be my network, you can see majority of the devices are in a critical state, which is a little alarming for me as a network admin or a customer. So in those cases, I can go to those devices individually and see what's wrong with them, and then take the necessary action so that these devices will come back online, and I will have a better infrastructure and my devices up and running in all my stages. So this is how you can use the dashboard and knock tools to help us have a better hand on the network or the infrastructure which we are monitoring. Now we are moving on to the question and answer session. So moving on to the first question, what is MIB browser? So the MIB browser is an SNMP testing tool which is available within the OpManager, which is under Settings Tools MIB browser. Using MIB browser, you can see what is the response coming from your devices for the OIDs which you use. For example, if I want to see this is uptime, or if you have your own custom OIDs, you can choose them. And let's say if it's going to be a different MIB or OID, I can just select them, click on get. I could see whether the OID, the device is responding or not, and then take the necessary action. So this is how the OpManager provides you an SNMP testing tool via the MIB browser to help you test and understand the SNMP response from the respective devices itself. So now let's go back to the question and answer session. Moving on to the next question. How do I receive emails about the failed monitors, interfaces, or credentials? This is going to happen from the data collection manager, which is under the support icon under diagnostics. So over here, when you click on settings under the diagnostics, you will have the option to send emails for the failed monitors or interfaces or credentials, and you can have a custom email address to which this has to be sent. So now let's go back to the presentation and continue. Can I change the severity of the device down alerts? Where can I change it? That's a pretty good question. So people are listening to our webinar. So here, as we have seen in our first slide about the alerts, we can customize the severities of the device down alerts. So now let me take you to the product and show you how this can be achieved. To achieve this, you have to go to settings, monitoring, and once you go to monitoring, you will have an option called as monitoring settings. So under monitoring settings, you can either choose the device to be monitored based on IP address or DNS. And let's talk about the main question, the alarm severities, whether this can be done or not. Yes, you can do that. To do that, you have to go to configuration, device down settings. Over here, you can select if I miss 2 polls, I want an attention alarm. And if I'm missing 4 polls, I need a trouble. And if it's going to be 5 missed polls, give me a critical. So this is how you can customize the severities for the device down using the OpManager, and you can save them pretty easily from the UI itself. So now let's go back to the question and answer session and continue. Moving on to the next question. Can I have multiple business servers configured under reports? Yes, you can have multiple reports configured under the reports for the business servers. So for that, you have to go to reports, report setting. Under report setting, you can create multiple business servers rules and use them as a filter for the reports in which you take the different timelines for various different metrics which you are taking out as a report. Moving on to the next question. Can I create a dashboard visible to selected users? Yes, you can create dashboards visible to specific users, and you can also customize them whether they need write action or only read action. You have all those customization options as well. Moving on to the next question. How does the forecast report work? As we have seen in our part 3 of the webinar, the forecast report is going to show the data based on the last 14 days of data which has been collected for the CPU, memory, or disk for the devices which we are monitoring. And by that, you can take the necessary actions accordingly. And I would also like to inform you for the part 4 of the OpManager training series, which is conducted on July 13th. Don't miss it, because we are going to discuss the variant add-ons which are there in OpManager and the integration options which are available within the OpManager. So I'm looking forward to see you on July 13th for the part 4 on add-ons and integrations in OpManager. And if you want to view all the how to do or technical videos, you can visit the YouTube channel. You can visit our help document at help.opmanager.com. We will have our technical discussion in our forum post. And in case if you want to reach our team, you can directly drop an email to opmanager-support at ManageEngine.com, or dial in directly and reach us as well. And we have a chat support which is available in the OpManager UI itself, which you can just click, give your name, and get in touch with our team immediately. And this is the right time for you to register in this link to become a certified OpManager Pro. I thank one and all for attending the part 3 of this season's OpManager training series, and I'm looking forward to meet you in the next part, which is conducted on July 13th. I thank one and all. Thank you.